Oh, there he is. Okay. I see names. Hi, Grant, Joe, Leon.
Evening, folks.
Hello. Erica's here. Hi, Erica. Okay, who else would we may have everyone. Harry. Oh, Harry, we don't have Harry with us yet. Give it a moment.
Hi, Jackie.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How about you?
Good, thanks.
Awesome.
I think we have Erica on here twice. That's interesting. I still don't know how this stuff works. Just smile and nod.
Oh, yeah, I just noticed that too. There's like a blurred square that's Erica, and then are you calling in Erica as well?
Sorry, Carrie. What did you ask?
Oh, it just you're sort of logged in twice, so every time you speak, there's a little bit of an echo. I don't know if you're logged in on a phone and on a computer.
Just my computer.
Oh, okay.
Is there a way that I can get rid of one?
Let me see if I can try something. No, one of them's muted, so I'm not sure why the echo's there, but anyhow, we'll see. Hi, Harry.
Hello, how's everybody?
And
Awesome.
Fine, thank you.
are we missing anyone? Harry, Erica twice. Donna.
Donna Speranzini is part of this group as well, but I haven't heard from her whether she's attending or not. So we could probably start the meeting and then, we'll give it another couple minutes, but I don't think that there's anybody else that I know is coming that's not here.
I can do a formal roll call if you'd like.
Great. Okay, we'll maybe just wait another minute or two, Grant, in case Donna is going to join us.
Sure.
Thank you. I think we have a short agenda and a bit of time, so I don't think there's a huge rush to get started right on time.
Hi, Jackie. How are you? Hi, Donna. And Steve's
Hi.
here. And oh, look at that. Even Harry. Look at this. This is great. Erica,
Hello.
I see you're here, but I don't see your face. Dion. Good.
Who don't you see, Brenda?
Oh, just whoever doesn't have their video on, that's all. And that's okay. There he is. Smiling still, are you, sir? Oh, yeah. Then he went back again.
Yes.
How are things going, Jackie?
Good. Good, good. Been a busy summer and we're back into October. I'm not quite sure how that happened.
Yeah, I hear you. I have to check my calendar again. I don't believe it.
Yeah, it's a bit crazy, but we still have good weather. It's not snowing yet, so this is good. Can't complain, right?
Bite your tongue. Bite your tongue.
I know. It'll be a while, hopefully. One never knows. Okay, well, let's get started. Donna certainly can join in if and when she's available. So we will call to order. And Grant, could you do roll call?
I can certainly do a roll call, and please bear with me, folks. I see some people that I don't have listed as members in attendance. So if I screw this up, just let me know. But for formal members, we have Chair O'Black, Erica Fernie, Harry Carosis, Joseph Schonberger, Donna Speranzini, who is not present, and then we have ex officio members Johnson, and that's our ex officio members in attendance.
And Grant, I realized when I sent you that list that was from the website that the website needed to be updated. Dion is also an official member from the PAC, so he is here as well. Sorry
That'll
about
do.
that. My bad.
Thank you. No worries.
It's funny, I've been looking at my list as well and probably have to update things. Make sure that I'm not missing anything. Okay, great, thank you. Okay, so the Niagara Peninsula watershed is located on the traditional territory of Indigenous peoples dating back countless generations. We want to show our respect for their contributions and recognize the role of treaty making in what is now Ontario. In recognition of National Day for Truth and Reconciliation that took place on September 30th, the Niagara Peninsula Conservation Authority commemorates the residential school victims, honors the survivors, their families, and their communities. This day is for all Canadians to create bridges with each other for reconciliation. We hope to continue building on our shared responsibility to take care of people, the land, its resources, and all the creatures we share it with. Okay, so we'll move on to item 1, which is approval of the agenda. I'll ask someone to move that. Or I will ask, why don't I ask Dion to move and Erica to second? Okay, so
I second it.
thank you. Bit of an echo there. So that has been moved and seconded that the agenda for the October 5th, 2021 Watershed Floodplain Sub-Committee meeting be adopted as presented. Any declarations of conflict of interest? I'm looking for Donna. She's not here. Okay, seeing none, we'll move on. I understand that the approval of the minutes for this subcommittee was done in June at the main committee's meeting, so we'll move on from that. Correspondence, I understand that there's none, not that I'm aware of. And here we are to presentations, number 5. Wow, I've never seen us move through an agenda quite so quickly. So Steve does have a presentation for us today. Steve is the MPCA Senior Manager of Water Resources, and he'll do a brief presentation summarizing the Beavercreek and Big Forks Creek public information sessions that were done earlier this year. Welcome, Steve.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair. Can everybody hear me okay? Everybody's good? Okay. Okay. Well, good evening, folks. It's always nice to be chatting with you. What I'd like to do is give you a brief summary of the public engagement session of the Big Forks Creek and Beavercreek floodplain mapping that we had early in September. So without much ado, let me share my screen. Okay, can we see that? Everybody can see that? Okay, great.
Yep, looks good, Steve.
Okay. So just a quick recap. Beavercreek, of course, drains a good chunk of West Lincoln, 74 kilometers to be mapped. It flows into the Welland River on the north side around Wellandport. All right, Big Forks Creek, south of the Welland River, again, flows into the Welland River around Wellandport, and it drains the majority of Waynfleet and a slice of the eastern part of Haldimand County, approximately 110 kilometers of watercourses to be floodplain mapped. So to introduce this project to the public, the Conservation Authority held a public engagement session on September 8th, virtually, starting 6 o'clock around until about 7:30. And it not only did it introduce the project, but it gave the public a chance to meet the project team and ask any questions that were on their mind. The session was recorded and it's posted on our project website, on the Conservation Authority's website. You can navigate to it. We had mentioned it, even though there was a fairly robust media campaign, 17 people. We had 17 people tune in, but since then, a number of folks have since watched the video of the presentation on our webpage. So let's talk a little bit about that media campaign. It was an approach that hit as many boxes as we could. We had classic print advertising, so you can see the ad that was placed in the newspapers: Niagara This Week, Grimsby Lincoln News, Port Corbin Leader, and Farmers Monthly. We did direct mailings. You can see a picture of the postcard, front and back. I know when last I chatted with this committee, the thought was to send these postcards, postcards, to landowners within 300 meters of the watercourse. But this committee had a great idea. They said, why not? Why not send it to everybody in West Lincoln and Waynfleet? So that's what we did. Sent out over 12,000 postcards. We approached the three municipalities: Township of Waynfleet, West Lincoln, and County of Haldimand. We had the public engagement session posted on their community calendars. We sent out memos and the project postcards to the municipal councillors and senior municipal staff so that they were aware of the project. There's nothing worse than to be blindsided or caught something coming out of left field. So we made sure they were fully aware, fully engaged. And like I said, the main resource for this on the postcards and all that, we invited people to come to our project webpage to learn more about the project, to find out if their house was indeed in the floodplain, a little widget they could click on and navigate Google Maps style. The floodplain study area. Let me correct that. Within the study area, and that study area was about 300 meters on either side of the watercourses. There's a frequently asked question section that we're continuously adding to on this webpage, and here you'll find all the draft reports and maps when they're generated, plus a copy of all the presentations that folks can go through at their leisure. There's also my contact information if folks want to email me questions directly, or they can ask a question on this website. We received a number. One of the things that we wanted to do is really, as part of that public engagement session, learn about folks' experiences living along the watercourses. They've been there, many cases, for many, many years. So it wasn't just an opportunity for the public to ask questions of the study team, but it was an opportunity for the study team to invite the public to tell us about what you see, your experiences living along the watercourses, what happens when we get a severe storm event, and we've had some good responses talking about their experiences living in and around Beavercreek and Big Fork Creek. So some of the things we heard, we had approximately 16 questions at the public engagement session. 8 were mailed in afterwards, and they could be lumped into a number of themes. Because this is a rural watershed, not surprisingly, there were a number of questions about is farming allowed in the floodplain? Are agricultural practices allowed to be undertaken in the floodplain? And the short answer is yes. Yes, absolutely. Farming and agricultural practices and the construction of structures directly supporting primary agricultural operations are indeed something that can be undertaken in the floodplain. One of the other concerns was about insurance and property values. How will those be impacted? And the Conservation Authority, we try to provide the most technically accurate and defensible floodlines possible, because the Conservation Authority is fully aware that there's a perception that the presence of floodplain on the property has an impact on the property values. Now, the Conservation Authority has no control over that. Property values. I also like to tell folks, just because floodplain isn't mapped formally on a property doesn't mean that it's not flood prone, doesn't mean that flooding doesn't exist. It just means it hasn't been formally delineated yet. With respect to insurance, the Conservation Authority, again, has no impact or no control over insurance. And we do know that many different insurance companies offer a wide range, and just drastically different types of policies, insurance, and premiums when it comes to overland flooding, insurance for overland flooding. It's a relatively new thing in Canada, just over the last couple of years. So because of the potential impact to insurance rates and property values, all of which the Conservation Authority has no control over, we try to ensure, again, that the floodlines that we generate are technically accurate and defensible. Another big question, another big concern was, will the Conservation Authority be entering my property? Will I wake up one day and find a Conservation Authority survey team the back 40 of my property? And the answer to that, of course, is no. No, the Conservation Authority will not enter any property without the express permission of the landowner. We've done a quick first look at the air photos, and the majority of the crossings and culverts and structures that have the potential to impact the floodplain are found on the municipal roads, municipal road crossings. Okay, there isn't a structure in our first cut on private property that has the ability to impact the floodplain. So we have no intent as of this point of walking onto private property. But in the course of the study, if there is a desire, then we will absolutely obtain the permission of the landowner prior to stepping foot on any private property. Another series of questions was about municipal drains, and that's not surprising. Both in West Lincoln and Waynfleet, a number of municipal drains and watercourses are designated as municipal drains. Municipal drains is a special designation. A watercourse can be a municipal drain, and vice versa. Briefly said, a municipal drain gives the municipality the ability to enter onto private property and maintain flow, clean out that municipal drain in order that flow is maintained. The cost of that is assessed back to the contributing landowners, all landowners that contribute drainage to that property. And the tax bill reflects that. Now, the primary purpose for municipal drains is to allow agriculture to flourish. We want that. We want those farm fields drained. We don't want water sitting around. So, and that's fine. That's contrasted with the requirement to convey these massive amounts of water during the 100-year storm event. These municipal drains aren't nearly big enough for that. They do a great job during the spring, gentle spring storm, typical that we see, but they're not flood conveyance systems. So during a big storm, water in a municipal drain, much like in a creek, overtops the banks and flows through the floodplain on either side of the watercourse or the municipal drain. There was a number of questions. Folks were interested in the model itself, the process. How does one technically do floodplain mapping? How does the consulting team, measure the rainfall, measure how much water runs off the land, the flows in the water courses? How do they take that information, translate that? How do they calculate how high the floodwaters will get? So our consultant, WSP Canada, the same folks that did the Welland River floodplain mapping project back in 2019, they provided a good overview, good, kind of not too technical, but in my mind gave a broad understanding. For the detailed questions and detailed presentation, of course, the answers to the questions, by all means, take a look at the recording of the public engagement session. You can go through it at your leisure and pick out any of the questions. And if you have any concerns, feel free to call me or email me. I'd be pleased to chat with you about this project. So where do we go from here? With that public engagement session over, with the introduction of this project complete, folks now know about it. And so being open and transparent, now the technical work can begin. The crews are going out and measuring the culverts on the roads and taking surveys and levels and all that kind of stuff. And all that goes into making the floodplain model. We're anticipating around next spring 2020, the next public information session that will talk about what we found so far, give folks a chance to ask questions, and we'll talk a little bit about how all the things that we measured in the field kind of plugs into the model and what we do with that through the entire process. And that was my presentation. I tried to keep it short and sweet. I welcome any questions that anyone would have, and let me stop sharing.
Great, thanks, Steve.
Okay,
We'll open this up. It's
bear with me.
yeah.
Come on, you computer. Okay, there we go.
Okay, so we will open this up. Does anyone have any questions or comments? Yes, please go ahead, Chair Johnson.
Thank you. I want to thank staff for all their hard work. I'm just disappointed that the turnout wasn't as high as we hoped it would be. And my question to Steve is this the end now, Steve, or is there going to be more consultation coming down the pipe? Can you just...
Absolutely. Yeah, through you, Madam Chair. We typically two more information sessions are planned. One in the spring 2022 to kind of give an up-to-date where we stand. The project is anticipated to wrap up in the winter of 2022, and much like we did for the Welland River floodplain mapping project, we're going to hold a third information session and introduce the draft floodplain maps. Before we hold the information session, the draft report, the draft maps will be up on the project webpage. folks can take a look at it, go through it on their own, have their questions prepared, and for that public engagement session, ask the questions there or send it into myself or the web page. So there will be 2 more points of engagement.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Okay, well, I will say thank you to Steve, and I'm glad to hear that the information is going out there ahead of time, because this is pretty technical stuff, and it's, you know, it's difficult for people to be able to understand it and absorb it and go through it all. So, you know, I think it's really important that it is released ahead of time, and you know, with a bit of lead time too, you know, like a couple of months if possible, or even more. The other thing, I guess, is just time of year. And you said that spring is when you plan the next one?
That's correct, yes.
Okay, yeah, it's just that I know that my experience in the past has been that when things do come out in summer, yeah, sometimes people are distracted and off doing other things, and they don't have a lot of opportunities. So spring sounds great. Hopefully it will. It will all go as planned. As we know, sometimes schedules aren't quite what we want them to be.
Yep, and you know that it's a good point, Madam Chair. Right now, that spring 2022 is a tentative deadline. What we hope to do is to have the draft report at that point up on the website to do exactly what you recommended. Allow folks a chance to go through some documentation on their own, because it can be rather dry and technical, but to give them a chance to have the ability to go through that information and then bring in either questions or concerns to the project team.
Wonderful. Well, look forward to that. If there aren't any more questions or comments, then we will ask that from members that we have this moved to receive, I believe, yes, to receive. So Harry, I'll ask you to move to receive. Thank
Move to
you.
receive.
And, I'll ask you to second on that, and then we'll do the paperwork end of things. That the presentation, brief summary of Beavercreek and Big Forks Creek public information session we received. Great.
Sorry, Jackie, I
I
don't know
guess
if it
I
was
should.
just oh, it's Carrie. Sorry, I just don't know if it was just on my end that my internet was a little off. I didn't hear who seconded. It was Harry that moved?
Joe will second.
Okay, thank you.
I should be asking any opposed too. Sorry, folks, I missed that part. I'm rusty on this. Okay, seeing that this has been approved and will be received. Excellent. So going through the rest of the agenda, we don't have delegations, consent items, discussion items, committee reports, new business, which takes us to item 11, adjournment. Again, I will need movers and seconders for that. So Joe, I'll ask you to move, and Dion, I'll ask you to second on adjournment. Great. Well, that was very short and sweet and very informative as well. So thank you very much for your time, Steve, and thank you, everyone. And I guess we'll see everyone at 5 o'clock.
Great. Thanks, Madam. I'm sure. Have a great evening, folks.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. I think I mentioned
See many of you in a half hour.
Yeah, I was going to say, if anybody wants to just mute themselves and turn off their video, you can stay in this meeting, and that's where the PAC one will be, or you can leave and come back using the same link. It's the same link for both. I'm
getting bad reverb, so I'm going to go out and try to come in, and hopefully I'll get rid of that because my ears are buzzing.
Okay.
Thank